You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to the crossover edition of Locked On Ole Miss and Locked On Sunbelt. We're talking about Ole Miss and Georgia State. We're going to get to Southern Miss and Mississippi State a little bit later on, but listen, this is a game that I think Ole Miss is going to win fairly easily. I think the starters are going to play longer than you expect them to because SEC play is next week. And there have been injuries at tight end on the offensive line that came back recently. So continuity kind of plays into this. So they're going to play a little bit on the field. Kind of bad luck for the Panthers. Listen, in this game, I think Ole Miss is going to roll. It's not going to be a 70-point game like Ole Miss did against Furman a year ago. I'm thinking 48-14. And they're just going to close it down and get ready for the Kentucky Wildcats because there's a little bit of revenge on the minds of people in that game.
Well, if you're telling me they're playing longer, so you're telling me you think they're going to play into the fourth quarter?
Yeah, probably.
All right, well then, yeah. So I if they can score, if Georgia State can put up 17 points, I'd be impressed. So I'm going to go 52-17. Again, I'm looking for Georgia State to keep it close to begin with. I think they're going to be the more excited ones, although it is a night game in the Grove. Ole Miss is going to be waiting all day long. I'm sure the fans will be all nicely lathered up. And we'll see if, Georgia State can come out and, get a drive down there. I'm sure, usually first possessions are always, at least defensively, kind of vanilla because you don't have a real idea of what they're going to do, but then you make the adjustments. We sort of saw that last week with Kansas and Fresno State. Fresno State had a nice first drive and then did nothing the rest of the ball game. So, we'll see. Again, I'm looking for Georgia State to compete early on, and then, it's just a different kind of level of play with Ole Miss, kind of, playoff-ish type of team this year. And Georgia State's still, I think, on an upward trajectory, and we'll see if they can get to the close to 6 wins and maybe 5 wins this year. They got a tough schedule, including Ole Miss. But I look for them to be, more competitive and contend in the Sunbelt in 2026.
All right, so let's change over to the Mississippi State Southern Miss game. Having the Locked On Sunbelt guy in the studio, I have questions because this game is weird because you have the Sunbelt Offensive Player of the Year preseason who was at Marshall, like 30 players from the conference champion transferred from Marshall to Southern Mississippi.
Right.
Listen, Mississippi State has better players because they are Power 5, but Southern Miss has a nice nucleus of players that know how to win, and they have done it before. But I worry that this reminds me of like when Ed Orgeron left Ole Miss, and there was a little bit of a wait before it clicked in, where they're going to struggle in September, but in October and November, they're going to be really good.
Well, it could. All right, so not only do they have the preseason Offensive Player in the Year, Braylon Braxton, but he won the Sun Belt Championship last year. For Marshall. He was the quarterback that came on about midway during the year and led them to a championship with Charles Huff, who came over from Marshall. Believe you me, my numbers went through the roof when that happened. All right. Thank you, Charles Huff. They brought over Josh Moten, cornerback, also there. All right. So a lot of the guys who did transfer in, they were on the 2 deep. A lot of the championship guys, they either transferred or graduated or moved on. All right, so a lot of the guys who played outside of the 2 that I mentioned have moved on. But nonetheless, the guys who did transfer, if they did stay, they probably would have played. So these were the guys coming up. This is a big ball game. If this was Southern Miss at Mississippi State, I wouldn't even think twice about it. This is an 11 a.m. Central Time game. It is at the Rock. It is in Hattiesburg. Steven, it is huge. Make no mistake about it. This is the biggest ball game in the history of college football that has 2 teams that combined for a grand total of 3 wins the previous year. All right. Southern Miss had 1. Mississippi State had 2. And I believe one of those wins for Jeff Levy was against a FCS squad. All right. You talk about must wins. This is a must win for Jeff Levy. All right. Do I think he's going to get fired if they lose? No. But he's already kind of, the seat's always warm when you're the head coach of Mississippi State. It's going to get real hot before Labor Day if he loses this. Now, because, like you said, it may take a little bit, and I may have played it up with some of the players who were not there, like Michael Green, who was, the defensive, actually, he was the Sunbelt Player of the Year, led the nation in sacks. He is not there for Southern Miss.
Jaden Yates is at Ole Miss.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if Southern Miss pulls off this upset. All right. They are the line has gone from everywhere. I think it opened up at 14. It got down to 11.5. It's 12.5. Again, you want to see somebody on the hot seat before Labor Day. Watch this. And I can contend, Steven, there's a reason why Kane Womack is the co-defensive coordinator at Alabama, because coming off on a 10-win season, he did not get a sniff, and he is Mississippi through and through. He did not get a sniff at that Mississippi State job, and Jeff Levy got it because he was coming from a Power 4 coordinator position, didn't have an ounce of head coaching experience, whereas Kane Womack had a little bit of success of head coaching experience, but he decided, I can't get a head coaching job at the Power 4 level from the G5 level, so I got to go back to the G5 level and be a coordinator. So there's a whole thing with that, but I do think Southern Miss has got to, compared to the game we've been talking about, I think Southern Miss has a legit shot at pulling off what obviously is they're two touchdown underdog at home. They have a legit shot at winning this football game. I know Mississippi State's quarterback actually played pretty well last year, got hurt. I know that. His statistically was pretty good, but, Jeff Levy's in year 2, so you presume they'll be better. Don't be surprised if Southern Miss pulls this one off.
All right, what do you got going on at Locked On Sunbelt, and what do people need to do, and what do they need to look for this weekend? How are you handling that?
Well, I mean, we're going to do a preview for Thursday's episode. We got some early ball games. App State is playing Charlotte for Friday, so we'll preview that one. ULM is kicking things off with a Thursday ball game, but we got some huge ball games coming up. Like you said, we've been talking about Ole Miss and Georgia State. Georgia Southern is going out to Fresno State. That's a great opportunity. And then Clay Helton is going back to Southern Cal. So that's a great opportunity too. Georgia Southern is actually spending like 10 days out west because no reason to come home, I guess, outside of school. But they're going to Fresno State, and then they're going to train at the Cowboys facility and stay out there before they play Southern Cal. Cajuns are opening up a new stadium. We'll find out who the JMU quarterback is. There's a lot to talk about. Texas State just named Brad Jackson. I think the redshirt sophomore is their quarterback. It should be a pretty good season for the Sunbelt. And, there are some teams. The Cajuns got a couple of votes. JMU got a vote or two. Could the Sunbelt, make the playoff? That's the big deal. JMU's coming to me in a couple of weeks. They're going to play Louisville. Cajuns got Missouri. These are good teams. They are not necessarily the top of the heap in their respective conferences. Could they go on the road and get some wins and all of a sudden, be ranked? And you know how the rankings work, Steven. These other conferences, they all beat up each other up, and all of a sudden a Sunbelt team starts reeling off a handful of wins. And, a 24th ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns is all of a sudden 8-0, and all of a sudden they're 13th in the nation because everybody else is beating everybody else up. So really looking forward to it. It should be great. We just surpassed, I know I'm not Ole Miss, but we just surpassed the 2,500 subscribers mark. So we had a great summer. La Tech is in, Texas State is out. Coastal Carolina played LSU for the national championship. So that helped out. As you know, LSU fans find you wherever you are. So they found me, and we had some fun with that. So we had a great off season and really looking forward to this. You can find me on Twitter, SchultzyCast, and of course on YouTube, Locked On Sunbelt.
All right. David Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Hey, Steven, always thrilled to be on with you, and so thrilled that you are healthy and up and going. You guys, you do a fantastic job. I just look to, do what you do and follow in your coattails, and really thrilled how healthy you are, and you are an inspiration to all of us. So whenever I'm down and wondering what's going on, and if things are going okay, I think about you and what you've been through, and you always keep a positive attitude and taking us for a walk and everything like that. So I appreciate what you do, and congratulations to you and your health.
All right, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much for the kind words. And hopefully we'll have some good Sunbelt games this weekend, but not in Oxford, Mississippi.
See, they keep it close early.
Yes. Take care, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the show. It helps it out, and it is totally free. Your support means the world to us. Listen, this is another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff Today, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Holley and Locked On's local experts. Hey, that's me. A college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.